YouTube, what is up? Pocket Profit coming back with another video. Today guys, in this video I want to talk about 5 mistakes to avoid when selling on eBay. These are super important. Some might be a little bit basic, but you guys need to remember that these are super important and you need to make sure to avoid these 5 mistakes on eBay. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about, guys, the first mistake to avoid is taking bad pictures. I know it may sound simple and common sense, but I cannot tell you how many pictures I see on eBay of terrible pictures, guys. I would never purchase an item that looked like that, and I don't know why someone thought that was okay or that someone would purchase that item because of that. It's super important, guys, because that's what the buyer is going to use. That's what they can trust, because that's, you know, they're seeing the item completely and fully. So make sure you're taking pictures all different sides, different angles. Make sure you're taking any pictures of anything that's wrong with the item or anything like that. It is like so important, because that is where they get all their trust from the first thing. That's how they, either their eye gets caught, they're scrolling through 1,000 shirts. You know, if you have a good picture, they're gonna gravitate towards that. And secondly, when they get there, they need to make sure they can make a good judgment on what they're purchasing. So make sure you're taking pictures of front, back, blah, blah, blah. Disclose anything that's wrong with it. Have good lighting. You know, it's not expensive, guys, just to get a little bit of light, you know, or figure out a good way to do it. Maybe put a little background with one light or whatever. I did it for cheap forever, for a long time. I had a sheet, and then I had got a little flip light from a garage sale for like $2, okay, and it worked great. So I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't have money. You guys can do it. Find the way to make it. Just light it up a little bit, and make sure you're taking pictures of the complete item, front, back, and sides. Takes a little bit of time, but you're definitely going to see your sales go up because of your pictures. If yours looks a little bit better than someone else's, you're more likely to get that sale. So super important. Don't take bad pictures, guys. Invest in that a little bit. Alright, so the second thing I want to talk to you guys about that kind of goes along with pictures, it is your description. Do not have a bad description, you guys. People use that. They need that information so they can make a trustworthy purchase, okay? So what I want to tell you guys is make it not crazy long, make it nice and sweet. Doesn't have to be crazy short, and I don't recommend really short either. Just have a nice little thing saying, you know, hey, this is a sweatshirt, good condition, sizes are this, measurements are this, it has one small hole here. You know, you need to make sure you're putting all that information in, because customers are going to look at that and trust what you're saying. So if they get the item and they see a little hole that wasn't disclosed or in the pictures, you're going to get a message back. You're probably going to end up doing a partial refund or a refund, and they're going to send the item back. And that's on you for not disclosing that or not giving that information. So another little tip why I said don't have it crazy long is because when you're on the mobile app, and a huge part of all eBay sales are done with on your phone and mobile. Now when it's a really long description, it only shows part of it. Okay, it only shows just a little bit of it when the customer is looking without clicking on it. So something that's an average length, not too big, not too long, will show a lot more on the mobile app, and that helps them, because anytime you have a customer that has to do an extra step or more steps to buy something or do something, it's more likely they're going to turn away and not buy it, just because that's just the nature of people. So short and sweet. Everything that needs to be in there, descriptions, and the description needs, you know, all the disclosed information, you know, brand new, expiration date, all the really key important parts need to go first, and make sure it's just not too long. Super important, and I see a lot of people not do this very well, and their sales suffer from it. As a third thing I want to talk about, a mistake to avoid, is pricing your items too low. Now, there's a couple of reasons people do this. I'll give you one reason scenario is people will buy something for very cheap. They will find a game or something at a garage sale for like 10 cents, okay? And they'll go on eBay and they'll look at the market and it's selling for 11, 12, whatever the price may be, a good amount. And they feel bad. They feel like, well, I only got it for 10 cents. I'm not charging $11 for it. That just doesn't seem right. So $6.99, okay? And it sells or whatever. And they just feel bad for whatever reason because they got it cheap. Now, like I said, I know some people that do this and feel that way. And I'm telling you guys, you need to price at market, okay? Price at the market price. If it's a good selling item that sells almost every time at $10.99, just price it at $10.99. The market is set. Don't feel bad. That person at their garage sale was getting rid of it. They didn't want it anyway. They didn't educate themselves. They didn't do the work to figure out what it was worth. So that is not on you. Make sure you guys just price accordingly and just don't feel bad about it, okay? I'm serious, just don't feel bad. Now the second reason people also do price too low is they don't feel the item is worth that. They don't value it the same as the market does. And it kind of goes back to that same thing where, you know, they feel no one's going to pay $10, $11 for this. Even if your research is showing that it is, they just feel like it's not worth it to them. So they don't feel like they're going to price it that high. So they price it, like I said, like it's $6 and it sells and they're just going on with their day. Even though it would have sold at $10.99, they don't put that value in it. And you need to look at the market and trust that market price for it and don't price too low. I see too many, especially newer sellers and stuff, lose hundreds of dollars because they're pricing too low because either they feel bad or they just don't put the value themselves into the item when they go to sell it. So super, super important. Just that's a big mistake you guys need to avoid when you guys are selling on eBay. So the fourth thing I want to talk about, a mistake to avoid on eBay, is having a bad inventory organization, you guys. Your inventory needs to be organized. And this is hard for when you first start because you're just getting started and you're just kind of rolling with it, just going through it, trying to figure this stuff out. But I wish someone would have given me this tip earlier, so that's what I'm trying to do. Give this tip to you guys as soon as possible. Because what will happen is you'll buy 10 items, right? You'll list 10 items, you'll put them in your little spot, your section of listed items, and then you'll buy 10 more, but 2 more sold, so you go in there and you grab 2, and you got to move a couple, and then you list those 10, and that goes next to the 8 you have left, and then you sell another 2, and then you gotta go find it, and then it ends up being where things just kind of get smushed together or on the same shelf, and you move something to get something else, and it just is a huge mess, and it ends up being a huge mess because what will happen is you can't find an item, and I've had that happen when I first started out. You can't find an item when it sells, and then you have to cancel an order because of your organization. You can't find it, you lost it. Let's say you have an employee, someone walked away with it, or you sell an item and you don't remember that you sold it, so you go ahead and relist it, and you're like, yeah, I think it's still in there, and you didn't check and you couldn't find it. So whether you do a number system with like bins or something, or certain sections, just make sure you guys really, really have a good organization for your inventory. Especially if you're going to do a lot of sales or you're going to be buying a lot of inventory, I'd recommend doing a number system with bins. That seems to be a really good system for most sellers. So look into that. And huge, guys, you do not want to have to cancel an order or tell a customer that you lost it or whatever, you know. So just really look into that and make sure you guys are having a good inventory a plan when you're doing your listings on eBay. So that's super, super important. Make sure you guys are avoiding having a bad inventory plan. All right, so the fifth and final thing I want to talk to you guys about is super, super important. It is the most important, I'm telling you, the most important thing I think on eBay, and this should be just mostly for the new sellers and some maybe older sellers or whatever that I don't know how you got this far without doing it, but checking completed listings. Okay, you need to look at them, and I don't know how anyone makes it really without looking at completed listings on eBay. So for you guys, if you're brand new or you haven't started selling yet, completed listings is where you can check if an item is selling. Okay, and that's very generic, and what I mean by that is, so say I look up an ink. Okay, I go on my phone and I type in HP, I don't know, 564XL or something like that, black ink. Okay, and I search it. It's gonna pop up tons and tons of ink that people are selling. Okay, great, and maybe all the ones that are still on there are asking $1,000. You can't assume that, oh, it's $1,000 ink, I'm selling it for $1,000. You need to go to your filters and check completed listings. You're going to hit the filter button, it's going to come down, and you're going to see a little spot that says completed listings. Click on that, and when you do that, it's going to show you sold listings, and that's going to show you either in green. If the money symbol is in green, that means it's sold for that amount, unless it says best offer, which it could have been less. But if it's a buy it now and it's green, that means it's sold for that. So if it's red, that means it did not sell. So you say you looked up that ink and you're like, oh, everyone's asking $1,000. Cool, I'll pay $700 for this ink. Well, when you check completed listings, all the ones that are green are at $10.99. Okay, so the market value where people are willing to purchase it is really $10.99. So you're not going to pay $700 for it. Someone can ask whatever they want on eBay for their items. You need to check where the market is, where people are actually purchasing the item, and if it's selling. That's another huge one. A lot of times people will buy things because they think it's cool. You might think it's cool, but that doesn't mean everyone else thinks it's cool, and you'll see all the red non-selling items for that. So super, super important. You guys need to really make sure you're doing that for every item, unless you are super knowledgeable about something. And another thing is you need to make sure you're checking it because things change. Something that you bought and sold a bunch of 2 years ago for $20 might only be worth $5 now because the market's flooded, or you know, for whatever reason it's now $5. So please, please, please make sure you guys are checking completed listings. That's super important, and it's going to really help you guys out when selling on eBay. Alright guys, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Like. Super, super important. Really helps me out. Secondly, comment. Write some stuff down.